Are you ready to reinvest in URI and RIC? Tonight.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
You know, I've often said that some of the clear jewels that we have in the state of Rhode Island are our educational institutions. That is not a new speech for me, and it's not loving the ones I'm with who are here tonight. It is something that I have said perpetually, and I think people are, not because I've said it, although I hope that I've helped over the last few years, many years, advancing the awareness of what our institutions do and the bang for the buck. You know, I'm doing a radio commercial on the air for the College Planning Center, RISLA, and they talk about consultation for value schools, where parents and students come in trying to figure out the big boatload of dough that they're likely to pay versus the outcome that they're thinking about having delivered to them and what they have to work for. And a value school equation is kind of this thing that you'll figure out on your own, but I can assure you that, and most of you know this, I hope you know this, that URI and RIC, along with CCRI at its level, provide such incredible value. The key, of course, is, do we keep reinvesting? You know, my answer is yes. Most of our answers have been yes in history. And there's another question on the ballot this evening. Full disclosure, by the way, I am on the payroll at URI, very part-time for my public address position at URI, but nonetheless, you should know that because I always try to keep full transparency here. Here's the ballot question that we're going to be looking at, and it's pretty simple. Of course, there will be an explanation, and just for time and efficiency, it would be really smart that Dan York Show viewers and listeners do some reading before you get to the ballot and know exactly what you're looking at, because most people go, oh, and then they, oh, yeah, okay, oh, and you start studying. That's not the time to study. The time to study is before. These guys I have here tonight know all about studying. Maybe they'll lecture you too. Here's a little tidbit on what they're looking for.
Students from the University of Rhode Island School of Oceanography and the Rhode Island College School of Education make a significant impact in our state and around the world. On November 6th, invest in Rhode Island's future by voting yes on question 2 to improve facilities at URI and RIC and ensure Rhode Island remains a leader in ocean sciences and teaching.
So there you go. Dr. David Dooley is the president of URI. He needs no introduction, and Dr. Frank Sanchez at Rhode Island College. Same. Both have appeared on the program before many times. And hey, just because I'm on the payroll this much at URI doesn't mean you and I haven't had a couple good battles over the time, right?
We have had those, Dan.
Well, it's great to see you both.
Good to
Appreciate it. Actually, I think this is unprecedented to have so much high power from the institutions here at once, but it is interesting that you're grouped on the ballot this time around. Coincidence or plan?
I would think it's mostly planning, in the sense that both institutions have well-developed capital improvement plans, especially Dr. Sanchez has improved RIC's capital planning dramatically since his arrival. We've been doing it for a long time, as you well know. Both institutions had needs that we thought should be brought to the people of Rhode Island this year. The Higher Education Council concurred, moved them forward. The governor and the legislature ultimately concurred. And of course, in the budget bill, it was easy to lump those two things together as opposed to make them separate questions.
You feel good about this cooperation on the question?
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, when you consider we're investing in a world-class oceanography school and the future teachers of this state, it just made good sense that we'd work together and help get this through.
I think there's been institutional synergy, you know, for a long time, but I think there's been more of late, and maybe a net benefit of the question having two institutions on it causes each of you maybe to actually make the argument for the other as well on the street, right? You have to be familiar with each other's issues.
Absolutely right. When we're out and talking, I'm sure it's true for Frank as well as for me, you're going to get questioned about both. Right. So it helps to be familiar. And we do know a lot about each other's missions and areas of strength and opportunities, as well as the institutional challenges that each of us face that are distinctive. That gives us an opportunity, coming together like this, a chance to advocate for one another as well as for ourselves.
We've had some academic cooperation over time, and that's increasing, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We continue to work very closely and serving the state, and I think complementing each other as we invest. And we're working very closely, of course, in the new Nursing Education Center, another world-class facility, using that facility well to better prepare our future nurses in the state and region.
The value conversation. I want to get to the bond. We'll get to the bond questions. You'll know exactly what the money is going to go for as we move along here, and what the outcome expectations are. But this little note I felt I'd throw in at the top about value. Value. It's a hard thing for families, parents, students, kids that are funding their own school tuition and the like. It's a hard thing to evaluate, and we've always made the arguments that right here, it exceeds the norm, seems to me.
Well, I don't think there's any significant doubt about that, in the sense that we can demonstrate.
Sounds like an infomercial, I know, but I mean, I really believe that. I mean, if I didn't, if I'd be testing it, I'd be like, come on, guys, you got to do a better job down there. There is no criteria that I look at that tells me that this isn't an incredible value, and there are outside players that say the same.
Right. You can look at the federal data. Anybody can look at it, and the federal data show without question that if you want to attend a research university between Virginia and Maine, and you don't live and you want to go outside of your home state, the best value you'll find, the most efficient research university you'll find in that entire region is the University of Rhode Island. No doubt about it.
And?
Well, and for Rhode Island College, I mean, you can just look, we just made the top 100 most affordable universities in America. You know, number 36, number 1 in all of New England. And I think what's important about that survey is it really does hit on your question, what is the return on investment? How are we helping families that maybe start from modest means income make it to the middle class? You know, how are we moving the social mobility of Rhode Islanders? And I think both between the university and Rhode Island College, we're doing a great job with that.
I would think that there are more and more families today that are trying to do that value equation computation, more so than the, hey, quality of life for 4 years and the vacation that my kid is going to take. You know, the experience. You know, there was a time, I think, when the experience of college was on the high list of priorities. Now with the expense, it's, okay, experience matters, and you're both doing the best you can to provide experience. But what happens when it's congratulations, you move the tassel over and you get out the door, right?
And I think what we're doing at both institutions, it's certainly been a priority for ours at the University of Rhode Island, is integrate what used to be called the college experience in with learning. So that for 24/7, if you're living on campus, you are not just experiencing college, you have every opportunity to learn in a whole variety of environments. But you're absolutely right, Dan. That's an important thing for us to emphasize to families. All of our prospective students want to ask about that. The families want to ask about that. They want to know, what will I be prepared to do when I graduate, and are your graduates successful? And we know at the University of Rhode Island, for instance, that well over 90% of our students after graduation are employed in the field that they want to be working in, at a job that they're seeking, or they're in advanced study somewhere.
Same number?
And so very similar work, and so there's a good 20 years looking at what they call high impact practices. What are those practices that higher education institutions can deploy to better prepare students and improve the quality of education? Well, it points to, and Dr. Dooley was making reference to, whether it's internships, undergraduate research projects, study away projects. And so we're working very hard to ensure that at Rhode Island College, a high percentage of our students are receiving them. Most of our, virtually all of our professional program students are receiving that. So if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to go into social work, if you become a nurse, and even our business school now require numbers of hours either doing an internship or a practicum or some on-site location work. We now need to scale that up really for all of our students across the institution.
All right, so scaling up on a capital needs basis is really the issue of the question. When we come back, we'll take a look at both the $45 and $25 million questions. Stay with us. The beautiful campus at URI, of course. Drive by the signs, think big, we do. And of course, Rhode Island College, and the facilities there are as much of a challenge. I think part of what Rhode Island College is concerned about is that your capital expense needs prorated might be a little bit higher than URI's right now. That's just my pedestrian view, not research, but do you agree?
Yeah, we definitely have some catch-up to do in modernizing our facility. Now, question number 2 is a really good case in point. You know, Horace Mann, which is, of course, houses our teacher education school, really has had no significant renovation for nearly a half a century.
Now, we have a picture, Jess, of Horace Mann, so let's put that up. There's now, and what will be before and after. Boy, that's pretty.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a great example. Of course, how we prepare and how we train teachers, that has changed quite a bit as well. And any teacher that's watching your show would simply say the complexity today in today's schools and how we prepare students in the classroom has dramatically changed, certainly over the last 10 years and certainly over the last 50 years.
Complexity and difficulty?
Oh yeah, I think complexity and how we use technology to engage students. I think complexity and the diversity of backgrounds in which students are coming to the classroom, whether it's a rural, suburban, or urban setting. The different skills that we know, certainly as we've talked to teachers and principals, superintendents, they need more individuals that are trained in special education. They need more individuals that are trained in ELL, and frankly, we have English language learning. We have spent the last 18 months redesigning the entire curriculum to better support Rhode Island and its future needs in our schools.
Specifically, what does the $25 million do other than make the building pretty?
So specifically, what the $25 million is going to do is help us. We're not just going to renovate this building, we're going to completely redesign the guts of the building. So for example, the latest teacher and training methods require new technologies, whether it's a video coaching or video analysis. Some of this work is happening in New York City, certainly on the West Coast. The vision would be that we could even host an entire classroom, an elementary class, middle school or high school class, for a week at a time, host them in the space, and through digitizing that experience, students would be able to engage in the classroom, have it all digitized so that then they can go back a week later, engage with their peers, engage with their teachers on that experience. So it's simulation technology.
Well, isn't simulation technology such an important criteria for learning? I know my own kid is in grad school with facilities that are in the medical field that are just, I mean, you look like you're walking into a hospital. You have to be able, I mean, the transition can't be from, behind a desk to a hospital or from behind a desk to the front of a teaching room. And those teaching rooms are changing. I mean, you've got the same thing when it comes to your curriculum and what you want to do with the marine facility. But in general, right, you got to
Simulations have changed a lot of things that we do. I mean, just for example, I mean, the entire nursing profession is being reorganized in how you prepare nurses around simulations that prepare students for real work, much more than just doing rotations in clinical wards too.
Right.
And so it's absolutely the case that applications of artificial technology, we just opened an artificial technology lab at the University of Rhode Island, applications of advanced simulation, data analytics, all of those things are changing the practice of what we do in classrooms. It's also changing the research environment and the kinds of questions that we're able to tackle.
So, Dr. Dooley, you want $45 million for the whole marine academic side, a whole rebuild, renovate, what?
So what Question 2 will do for the University of Rhode Island's Narragansett Bay campus is basically 3 things, all of whom are critical. One, it'll create for the first time an Ocean Technology Center, which will be a brand new facility that will do both research and education around advanced technologies to be deployed in marine environments, whether it's offshore wind, whether it's undersea exploration, tidal wave energy capture, sensors to monitor the state of the oceans, temperatures, and so forth. All of those technologies are critically important for the future. They're critically important right now. And this will be an advanced facility for design, study, research, and then teaching about those technologies. The second thing the bond will do is create a Marine Operations Center to support the work of the Graduate School of Oceanography and Ocean Engineering and the College of Environment and Life Sciences in marine environments at sea. The third and final thing it will do, which is absolutely critical, is it will create a new home, a new dock and support facility for the brand new research vessel that will be coming to the University of Rhode Island in 2021, a $125 million investment on the part of the federal government via the National Science Foundation in ocean research and education at the Graduate School of Oceanography at the University of Rhode Island in its home state of Rhode Island. The ship will be based here. And it's a bigger ship than our current ship. And so the facilities to dock it and support it have to be enlarged and strengthened and improved.
The brain power on the marine side at URI is maybe something that people don't know about, but more and more with climate change and some of the hurricanes and other things that we have been dealing with environmentally, they become a resource for us. I mean, it's go-to to figure out what the heck is going on out there. And by the way, URI's offered some pretty stark warnings to emergency management and cooperating with emergency management in the state that we're not necessarily as prepared as we might have to be.
I think that's true, and every Rhode Islander who ever watches a newscast of a hurricane sees the work of the University of Rhode Island, because the American model to project where a hurricane's going and how intense it will be was developed and is still operated out of the University of Rhode Island. That model is increasingly important, as we saw with Florence and Michael this year. As hurricanes strengthen, they arrive on our coast from origination spots out in the Atlantic that they didn't used to ever reach us. Those things are impacts of climate change. And we do have to take it very, very seriously. And that's one of the primary areas of research, the Graduate School of Oceanography and at URI in general, is how do we prepare for this new era? For a coastal state like the University of Rhode Island, where we have fisheries to protect, we have beaches to protect, we have maritime industries to protect, it's a critical question. And at the forefront of answering those questions is the Graduate School of Oceanography.
So it seems to me that both questions really are about quality of life for students, yes, but it's really a return on investment to community. I mean, this is products and services that are developed there are coming back into the community, whether or not you've got a student or family member at either one of the schools.
Yeah, no question. I mean, if we all know the impact that a highly trained, highly prepared teacher can have, in our case, can have on our child's education. Here's an opportunity to provide the type of training and the type of preparation for that teacher to be highly effective in the classroom today, whether it's using the latest technologies or better strategies to engage our students in the classroom. And here, not only have we spent time revamping the entire curriculum, now we need that facility to actually facilitate that training that will directly impact our quality of education, certainly in K-12 throughout the state.
Right, so we come back, we'll ask the question, how often do we need to go to the well for these places? Next. And more full disclosure here, I'm also a URI dad, and my young one stopped by campus this past weekend, little revelry with some of the former grads, right? And she says, "Dad, have you seen the new dorms that they're building across from the Ryan Center?" It's like, oh my God! And then there's some cookie joint that's coming in. You know about this?
Insomnia cookies.
Insomnia cookies. And now they got insomnia cookies. And and I laugh because, you know, I go back and visit my alma mater, the University of Dayton, which is a problem, you know, twice a year for the University of Rhode Island when it comes to basketball. But you go back to campus and you go, oh, if I only, geez. It's this continuum of experience. It's really kind of almost a life cycle type of phenomenon and dynamic that these places have got to continue to improve, so that little baby that just came out of the incubator is in 15, 20 years going to reap the same benefits in real time that you think you did. But isn't it kind of a cool thing to be managing an institution that is so dynamic and fluid, and have graduates and alumni leaving going, man, geez, oh, you know what, right? Do you find that fun, or is that just my weird take?
Absolutely. It's the best. One of the best things about the job is universities capture our past brilliantly, in the sense that they have facilities, you know, they go back over and places that go 100 years back. But at the same time, they're continuously renewing themselves, because the world is changing and education is changing. The questions that we need to answer constantly change and evolve. The facilities you need to equip students for success constantly need to be updated. So it's true, we're in a constant state of renewal, and when I have alumni come back who graduated the first year I was president in 2009 and come back now, they say, what happened to this place?
Right. That's the cool thing. And to be running the show, you know, administrating that change has got to be fulfilling.
Oh, it's incredibly fulfilling. I mean, we have the opportunity to reimagine not just the curriculum and how we engage our students, but the space. In this case, certainly it's Horace Mann and the Oceanography School. For example, you know, every classroom, again, it's not going to be renovated. It's going to be redesigned. I mean, today's classrooms at Rhode Island College, there are whiteboards on every wall. All the desks are movable. There's speakers in every corner because we have to create engaging spaces where we're training around systems thinking, design thinking,
collaboration,
their maker space, because
right,
that's industry today, and we want to give them 3 to 4 to 5 years where they're engaged in that space. When they go out, they're familiar with it.
Look, polling data is pretty good on these questions. You know, if you want my 2 cents, pass it. I don't think there's been a question at either one of the institutions that I haven't asked you to pass. I think you generally are going to see a 70–80% thumbs up. You never take things for granted, which is why you are here. I will tell you, though, I'm not so sure that the state has made the kind of commitments that your institutions need. And I don't need to. I mean, I've asked you both these questions before. Bond questions, the general public seems to go, yeah, that makes sense after they read and think about it. But when it comes to the general budget, you guys have had to rub a lot of nickels together to get things done. You agree?
We have today, in 2019, less money from the state of Rhode Island than we did in 2007.
And that's our show. No, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you know, I've just been here now 2 years, starting my 3rd year, and it's surprising what Rhode Island College has been able to do with the type of funding it receives. I certainly think Rhode Islanders expect more. They're certainly demanding more. We're hearing it from students every day of the type of services and support, connecting them to internships, work training opportunities. You need the type of resources to create that within the curriculum and beyond the classroom, frankly, because the expectation's there from our students.
All right, think big, we do. URI, you're going to come up with one? You got a motto?
So actually,
in the
it's
tank?
interesting you said that. So this year we're going through a branding exercise, and we'll be reintroducing Rhode Island College in the not too distant future to the public.
What's it going to say? Think big, we do, us too?
Not likely.
Good
We've
to
got
see
that covered.
You got that?
Yeah.
You got that covered. So again, question 2, $45 million for the 10-second ID for that question is the facility is called
The Ocean Technology Center at the University of Rhode Island.
And Horace Mann, which will do
provide better training and support for teachers across the state.
All right, guys, thank you.
Right.
Continue. Good luck, and thanks for your work.
Thank you.
Final word when we come back. Alrighty, so again, that is question 2. What are we going to do? Say no? We've got to keep progress moving here, and the $45 million for URI and the $25 million for RIC are proportional, I think, to what their needs are. You'd always like to be able to save a buck and do the diligence on the construction work and what's going on there, but those institutions have really made the most of those investments over the course of time, and they are investments as opposed to weird wanton spending. In the meantime, let me remind you, coming up on Monday, Sheldon Whitehouse, our junior senator, looking to be reelected, of course, running against Bob Flanders, the Republican opponent, will revisit the Kavanaugh hearings, what he thinks is his argument for reelection, and a whole lot more. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the national news that is disturbing. We'll check up on that and get some expertise as well over the next working days. Have a great weekend. Stay out of the rain, and thanks for watching.